Recording in progress. Sounds good. Ethical AI, tools for smart people. Today our tool is Elicit. And
Woo!
I'm here. Hooray! I am Dr. J. I'm here with Kayla.
Hello.
This is us in cartoon format because obviously. Here we are. First things first, always question whether you should be using a tool before you start engaging in the tool. Issue number one is transparency.
And so you want to really make sure, especially with the tool that we're about to introduce, that you're being very clear that it is a guide. You're not using it to fulfill the learning objective of whatever assignment you're doing. And you want to make sure that you clarify with any instructor, or professor, or faculty member that you have that you will be using it as long as they allow, because you want to make sure you're not just using it to do the assignment. That's not why we want to try and introduce some of the ethical AI use. We want to encourage it within limitations.
Exactly. Also thinking about, even if you're transparent and your professor says it's okay, you might also think, should I be doing this if it's trying to do the exact same thing as the assignment is trying to do? So, for example, if you were telling ChatGPT, write an essay, and the assignment was to write an essay, then that would not be an ethical usage of that tool. But if the assignment and the goal of the assignment was to make sure that you are explaining your knowledge on something and you are using the tool to just tidy up some of your grammar, that would be okay. That would probably be okay as long as you're talking to the instructor about it and they're allowing you to use it. But we're always about the ethical use of AI before anything else. Um, and we have these other three issues here, which we're not actually going to get into in this, but feel free to look these issues up and make your own informed decisions regarding whether or not you want to use this AI and whether you think it's an ethical version of that. Anything to add, Kayla?
No, just again goes back to number one and tie issue number five together. You want to make sure vetting everything through. It is very hard to rely on anything from the internet, and you want to make sure that these are all reliable sources.
Exactly. And, the internet is made from trash, so be careful. All right, let's explore today's tool. Here we are with Elicit. Elicit is really great for finding sources, connecting sources, giving a sense of the literature that exists in a field, and even getting kind of deep into what the sources say about the literature. Okay, this is what Elicit looks like when you first start using it. Kayla, what was it like when you first logged into Elicit?
When you first log into Elicit, it brings me right to this page. And so you get to ask your question. And right off the bat, it's going to tell you whether or not it's a strong question or not. Um, it really it's really nice because they want you to be more specific. And that's exactly what you want to do if you're starting off any paper with some sort of hypothesis, trying to introduce anything through your abstract as well. So you want to make sure that you're as specific as you can be.
Exactly. So I did this and I went in and I was like, okay, write me a lit review. Let's see about this subject that is not actually my field. So I was trying to like be very even about it. I'm approaching this as a student, not as an expert myself. And it was like, meh, you need to be better here at the question that you're writing. Make sure you add these other elements. And I was like, well, okay, sure. So I just went through that into ChatGPT, as you can see. I went in there to fix up the question. I was like, here, rewrite this using, making it better with a research focus, methodological approach, and disciplinary contribution, and came up with another. So this is what happened when I put that in. And the robot liked the question that was generated and revised by the robot. So, woohoo, great question. Thanks. Thanks, Elicit. I'm really glad you like the question now. So yeah, make sure that you think about like it will help you make a good research question, which I really like playing around with. Okay. It gives you, so if you're not going to pay for it, which we did not pay for this. So if you're going to do the free version, it gives you only one option here and it screens the top 50 papers. And also extracts from up to 9 papers. So it filters it for you. I thought it was up to 10 papers. Kayla, you also thought it was up to 10 papers at first, right? Anyway, we thought it was up to,
Yes, especially
yeah.
because it's 9:25 and 40. So
What is that? What is that? That is ridiculous. Okay, so we decided anyhow. So yeah, maybe you will get the 10 papers. Maybe it's just being silly with me. That's okay. So it goes through, but it takes a couple minutes. It starts gathering papers, but it takes some time. It goes through these steps. It gathers the papers, it screens the papers, it extracts the data, and then it generates the report. So it does take like 10 minutes after you punch the question in, and it tells you that your question is good enough and it starts doing the work for you. But once it does that, it's really exciting. So it gives you entire report here. So this was about the research question that we put on here. And it gives information. And so it gives you the 9 studies that address how non-STEM disciplines, blah, 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 blah. So it gives you the information, and it'll also tell you how it did that. So you can ask, how you can click on the little thing for details on how it screened the papers. What was the process for screening the papers? It was very exciting to sort of play around with for me, looking at what it does and how it does that. Kayla, when you were playing around with this, was it pretty intuitive? I mean, from the perspective of an undergraduate student who has not generated your own, like has not fully written your own thing. Yeah. What was your,
Absolutely. So I actually just ran it at the very start of this presentation with the exact same question as well. It turns out you can do the 10 papers. Now it is up to 10 papers.
oh,
So
uh-huh.
that's really great, but it's very, very intuitive. And even while I'm using it now as we're doing this presentation just as guides, it's really nice. It extracts really good data points, and I feel like it's very straightforward.
Awesome. Yeah, it's easy to do, and you go through and you get this and you can also chat with it. That was one of the really fun features that we have this, and again, this is all free. You chat with it, you can ask it a question about the report or its underlying data. So I went in and I started asking it questions, and then this chat unfolded, and so you can see what it tells you about the data that it found for you. And so you can engage in various ways with this information and data. And then with that, you can keep going, and let's see. Yes. Okay. So you can click on these different buttons up here. They're kind of small. And so that's why I wanted to like show the arrow exactly what it looks like there. But with that, you can click on one of those and see the screening criteria, which I really like. I even made myself an extra avatar here to be like, hey, this is so cool. This is my favorite part. You can look at the screening criteria. If you had a fancy pro version, you could actually edit the criteria. You could say, I want you to look at more of this and less of that and weight this differently. So there's a lot of really interesting possibilities here. So yeah, that's important to look at. Yeah, so that's what it comes together as. Uh, Tips. We can talk about the
So
tips.
again, you want to be really patient. Um, since I started regenerating the report at the start of this presentation, it actually was already done by the time we're getting to this slide right now. So that's about 5-10 minutes. So don't be afraid. Just know that it'll be very similar in the same vein that when you ask ChatGPT to generate an image, it just takes a minute because there's a lot of people doing the same thing. But that doesn't mean that it's going to be any less comprehensive than what it tells us it's going to be.
Exactly. And also, like we showed you, you might have to revise your research question, which I think is really kind of a perk, and that's pretty awesome. Okay, opinions. Kayla.
I really love this one. This one is actually my favorite out of all the AI tools we're going to cover. I really like that you can also share the report that's generated, so that way you can also make sure, again, that you not only are you citing it, but if you wanted to run it by any faculty member or professor to say, hey, is it okay if I use this as a resource? Then you have everything you need right there instead of trying to piece everything together. Overall, I'm just really a big fan of it, and I feel like as papers and lit reviews and just everything can be very overwhelming to start, this is very straightforward and makes me feel encouraged.
I was wondering if this was your favorite one.
Yeah.
This was one of my favorites too. I can't really decide whether it was this one or Research Rabbit. That was my very favorite, but yeah, this is a really awesome one. But again, like Hill said, be careful, right? Like, because it will generate this whole thing and call it a report, but don't try and turn that in. It's not your own work, right? But it does give you a lot of wonderful information. And then next steps after you use it, you'll have this cool bunch of sources and a report about what the sources say on a given topic. You can use that to help you look for more sources or to revise your own research question to sort of like look more deeply into a topic. But yeah, that's what we've got for you today. Thanks so much, everybody. Thanks, Kayla.
Thank you.
Yay. Okay. And now I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. Bye.